Hello, good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Gooner Ramble. We're coming at you today at the end of the first international break of the new season, and after a pretty turgid England display, I think we're all excited to get back to watching the Arsenal again. I'm joined today by two of the best Gooner princesses we have around at the moment. Amanda, you've not been on for a while, so it's great to have you back.
Hi.
And,
I'm the original Gooner princess.
The original. Well, you might be the original, but perhaps even more glamorous. We've got Waz, who's been a staple of this season, Mr. Consistent so far. And so, yeah, Waz, thanks for coming on again, mate.
No bother, mate. And I've been referred to as quite a few things this season, but a princess, I'll take that, I reckon.
You'll take that. Okay, good stuff.
Yeah, cheers,
So, guys, how have you been spending your international break? Have you been watching the football with fevered intensity, or have you kind of just switched off for a week or two? Amanda, how's it been for you?
I really don't like the Interdal. It bores me. I'm not into international football. I'm really sorry, I'm not. I mean, I like to watch when our players are playing, France, Germany, etc. I'm not really into England, though, I'm afraid.
Really? Is this a new thing since the summer, or is this...
I've been on for 5 minutes and already I've been lambasted.
I think you're allowed to be a bit disillusioned with it all at the moment.
Big Sam, England manager. It's like Mike Bassett, England manager for me. I couldn't believe it. I feel like I'm living in a parallel universe with football this season and last season. I mean, Sam Allardyce, England manager. Did he do anything different to Hodgson? I heard the team was the same.
I think the issue is that there isn't actually that many good players, and that's something we're kind of discovering. I mean, people have criticised him for that, but I don't really know if there's much else he could have done. What did you think was of the England squad, of the performance, which I think was pretty forgettable?
Yeah, it's one of those.
Did you watch the game?
I did watch the game, and I didn't want the international break to come. And every season this happens. We get 3 weeks into the season, you're all excited. The transfer window closes, and then you get stuck with Sam Allardyce's England. And to be honest with you, I want to give Sam a chance. I mean, I ain't his biggest fan. I never will be his biggest fan. Right back from the Bolton days, we've got history with him and all that. But it's kind of interesting to see how it would pan out. And it was almost like watching the identical game at the Euros. It was the same game. The only difference is Martin Skrtel is an absolute nutter, and it's sort of he's inexplainable.
Yeah.
That incident sort of swung the game, and I do wonder whether had he stayed on the park, it would have stayed 0-0, because I didn't really think we looked in danger of conceding. Not really, but also we were a bit sort of toothless at the other end. And Skrtel, after being on a booking, he could have seen another booking earlier. Then he decides to go and do a little stamp, and he's sort of a sadistic footballer who's smiling as he's seen a red. Like he's got some sort of enjoyment out of kicking Harry Kane for 90 minutes. Well, for the length he was on the pitch. And
it's normally something we're all for.
Yeah, it is something we're all for. But don't get me wrong. I love watching England. I've got a lot of mates that religiously follow England. They were out in Bratislava having the time of their life, and I was happy for them, the 90th minute winner. But even they're the most venomous England fans, and even they're bored of the football now. Do you know what I mean? And that's the kind of stage it's got to. And we should be winning that group, and it's the first win on the road to winning the group. And Lallana gets his first England goal, and happy days. We forget about that 1-0, but like you said, mate, blimey, it was hard watch, wasn't it?
Well, I guess it's a good gets you even more excited for Arsenal, doesn't it, when we have to deal with that 2 weeks away from that, and also to watch that crap. This international break I think is always particularly tough because the transfer window shuts. You got some new players you want to see, and we got our first win of the season, third game in, and then we have to wait 2 weeks for it to happen. So I think we're all very happy to have it back. Amanda, as you've not been on it yet this season, I guess just quickly wanted to ask you what your general feeling was about the transfer window. We got 4 players, if you include Holding, coming in to improve the team. Were you happy with the arrivals on the whole?
I really am. And, you cannot judge players until they play for us. You really, really can't. So for me, from Mustafi and Lucas Perez, I'm quite excited, to be honest. They are the 2 positions we needed. And we've been screaming, most of us have, for a striker. I think he offers completely different aspect to what Giroud can give us. Giroud has his benefits. I know Wazzy's going to argue with me on this. I remember he's a big Giroud fan. I think Perez, it's really interesting. To be fair, I'll never, say that I know everything about foreign players. I don't listen to any transfers until they're virtually signed, and that's when I take notice. So I've never sat here and say I've ever heard of Lucas Perez Mustafi it's a massive, like an Omri way. But a Deportivo La Coruna fan wrote a brilliant blog. I don't know, a blog or a letter to Arsenal fans talking about Perez. And just as he was signing, I read it. And it totally changed my view on what we were actually getting, I'm really excited about him. Apparently his energy levels are very similar to Sanchez. He won't stop.
Well, he's got a bit of the Jamie Vardy's about him by all accounts, which would make sense given that we did, of course, go in for Vardy.
Yeah. And contrary to reports, all I keep hearing is that we turned him down. But whoever knows, I don't know what goes on.
Who knows really what happened?
Who knows? You know what? I so don't know anything that goes on at the club, even though people tweet me all the time about it. I know nothing. I know when it gets signed. That's the end of it.
Well,
but I'm really pleased. Look, there aren't many world-class strikers and centre halves around, are there, that are available to us? I'm excited for the first time in a while. I think Holding looks impressive to me. He's been thrown in, obviously, because of the injuries. Granit. I already love Granit. He's so my sort of player.
He's an easy player to love, I think.
Isn't he? Straight slotted in, just like
some of those passes against Watford were just a joy, weren't they?
He doesn't even seem new, does he? Just look. And I hate it when people go, "It's only Watford." Right? It was only Liverpool and we were destroyed. So I think for me, and I'm a bit like the rest of you with this, the international break comes so at the wrong time. For me, the beginning of the season starts Saturday. I know it sounds odd, but it just does. We've won one, lost one, drawn one. Let's just get on with it, I was in Spain when Leicester and Watford played, so I went to a bar to watch Leicester. Well, what a waste of time that was in 95-degree heat. And Watford I didn't watch. For the first time ever, been abroad, never watched Arsenal live. I couldn't get there. My brother didn't want to go. He was had enough. And I literally watched it through Twitter and people WhatsApping me instantly, It's
not a fun way to watch it. I've done that before when I've had to work during games and it's never
Callum,
good fun.
Isn't it the worst? I mean, radio's bad enough, but we had nothing, sitting by a pool. And every minute I'm going to everyone, don't come near me. Oh my God, we got a penalty. I'm like this, it's horrific, but we won. So now I'm never going to watch Arsenal abroad again. I've never seen us win abroad whenever I've watched it live. So I just feel that the season starts on Saturday. We've got our players. It's exciting to see where he's going to play everybody, to be honest.
I think that kind of opinion, it's a shame that our season starts, seems to be starting 3 games after everyone else when we're already 5 points behind leaders. But there is that feeling to it, I think, because we made 2 signings late in the window, because we had guys like Özil and Giroud arriving later. The first game against Liverpool didn't feel like we were ready. We weren't. And as happy as I am personally with the signings, there still remains a real issue with how we handled, finalising those deals and the injuries to Gabriel and Mertesacker happened in pre-season. We waited so long to rectify that, and that cost us on the first day, especially. But I guess it is we ended the last game on a high. Haven't had this break. Haven't got the new guys who are in training today. Great seeing them. I guess this does feel like a new start. What do you make of that? How is your feeling going into this game? Do you feel like excited about what we've got to come, or are you still annoyed that we've already put ourselves in a pretty tough position when in respect to the other teams in the league?
Yeah, I don't want to look back, and like Amanda says, it almost really is like the start of the season. That's the way it feels for me as well, and it's stupid because we are 3 games down and we have dropped 5 points, and 3 of them being at home is always is not a nice way to start. But we might look back at that at the end of the season and say, yeah, that's where we ballsed it up. We weren't prepared. We didn't do this. We didn't do that. But realistically, we're in a position now where move on from there. And I'm looking ahead, and I looked at the next 10 fixtures, and I really do think that they're winnable. There's a lot of competitions, there's a lot of games, but this squad now, and we've got a fit squad, which is another thing that is very rare. We actually have options.
Did he seriously just say that?
Yeah.
Did he seriously just say that?
Amanda, I know I shouldn't have said that, but I'm allowed to be a little bit excited because we've come through an international break and players have come back to us, and Xhaka managed to get himself sent off, so he'll miss the next one, which he'll be lovely and fit. So that's good. Fair play to him. He knew what he was doing. I'm hoping. Yep, 93rd minute. But I'm really excited, and we've got reason to be excited. And I think now all the frustrations of the transfer window, the rumours, you're waiting for this, waiting for that, it's done and dusted now. And we can actually just enjoy our football. We can turn up, enjoy the game, see what's going to happen. We've got a good run of games coming up, and I'm really hopeful that, for me, as long as we keep winning our home games, that's the main thing. Liverpool was a blip. I don't think you can fail to win more than 4 max at home, maybe 3, to really say, yeah, we're going to push to win the title. And I do think we got the squad to be up there and challenging. I definitely do. And it's going to be exciting to see, as Amanda says, how he utilises these players that he's brought in. And they are good players. And I'm a bit more positive than I have been in recent weeks. And I think that the international break sort of give me that chance to reflect and sort of, I'm looking forward to it, mate.
I think Clive's been rubbing off on you a little bit. You've been speaking to him too much to get you a bit. I mean, Mark obviously is the counterweight to that. But
yeah, it's a nice place to be stuck between them two, because you get the best of both worlds. But at the end of the
Clive
day,
has a way of making everything putting a positive spin on everything in a good way. You know,
it's that velvet voice, mate.
It's that velvet.
Someone compared him to Clarence Seedorf, saying when he speaks, you listen. And I think, in a way, it's true. But yeah, I like to take on the opinions of everyone, because at the end of the day, it is an opinion, and whether you're right or wrong, other people's opinions are just as important, and they're just as intelligent. So it's good, and it has made me.
Arsenal Twitter, I don't think that's really a universally accepted opinion. Unfortunately, it's.
I guess not.
But no, you're very well said. Well said. And I guess one thing I was thinking about the other day, Amanda, and I'd like to put this to you, is that because we had that poor start, I feel like pretty much everyone has kind of written Arsenal off already, and that was kind of done before the season even started because of the lack of activity in the window. So I remember the BBC do their before every season, they ask all their pundits who's going to win the league. So I think anyone said Arsenal, and I think last year quite a few people did say Arsenal to win the league, but this year it seems like no one thinks it. Everyone thinks we're going to be in a battle for fourth, and that could well be the case. But do you think that, first of all, there's more to this squad than perhaps the general football media is giving it credit, and also do you think that we can benefit from being something of a dark horse? Whereas last season I think there was a lot of expectation on us, and we obviously failed to capitalise on that. So are we in a good place to be, do you think, with regards to that, or does it not make any difference?
Do you know what, last year being second, we never even looked like getting first, if you know what I mean. Even though we were second,
we were 10 points behind Leicester at the end.
Not even if it would have been 1 point did I feel that we were challenging. I can't explain it. It's so bizarre. I still forget that we did end up second, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. I was just so concerned from January onwards that Leicester kept winning, because if Tottenham would have won, I'd have had to emigrate. So I couldn't have that. And people didn't understand me, not Arsenal fans, funny enough. Rival fans said, "Are you mad? Why do you want Leicester to keep winning?" I said, "Let me tell you, Arsenal won't win it, and we've got Spurs there, and I will have to emigrate. So you either want me to emigrate or Leicester keep winning." So I just felt, even though we were second, we were never challenging for it. That's what I meant. I agree with the pundits. Fourth or fifth for me this season. I look at City, I look at United. City for me has the Pep effect. Okay, Guardiola, can't even say his name. Pep, right? They've got a decent team. Sterling has turned a corner already, you can see that. That affects sometimes when a manager comes in, a new manager, and believes in you. United, who with a passion I hate, and I'll go into them later, them two, with an absolute passion, and their manager I hate even more. I just hate them. they are a match made in heaven, them two.
But do you not think that because City, this season has been, and rightly so, is it's been billed as Pep versus Jose, City versus United, because they've spent so much, because they are the two clear favourites. Everyone's expecting them to be the top two, and if I was a betting man, I would probably put money on those two to finish first and second. But
look, Guardiola and Mourinho have no love lost. It's all going to be about them. And actually, Mourinho always makes it about him. Watch what he does on Friday in the press conference. It'll all be about him. What goes on the pitch on Saturday, because obviously there's the derby Saturday before us, which I said we'll talk later about. I do feel them two will be first and second. I don't know which way. I've said United because I just think Mourinho's such a lucky fucker. Excuse my language.
They spent a pretty penny as well.
Chelsea are going to definitely do it. We're going to be doing how we used to do a couple of years ago. Last year was our year to win it. I said it all along that if it had bought what we needed, we would have walked the league. I said that and I got lambasted for saying that, but I think we would have done it. Look what we needed. We needed a striker last year. God. Anyway, I do agree with the pundits. 4th, 5th for me.
Fair enough. What do you think? Do you think we could, sneak in and challenge because the attention's off us, because people expect us to, be at 4th at best?
It's a very interesting season because, like you're saying, normally pundits write us off for the top 4, and every year we're in the top 4, and it's getting frustrating being not even considered as a top 4 team, and then finishing second, which was, in my eyes, a very... I don't know, I wouldn't say it was... You can't say it ain't a truthful finish of second place, but there were so many clubs that had such shocking seasons, and that will never happen again in the history of the Premier League ever. For Leicester to win the league and Tottenham needing 3 points from 4 games and bollocksing it up, and somehow we finished second and happy days. But do you know what? I think he has gone out and improved the squad, and like Amanda said, last season, if we had brought Xhaka in and Perez in last season, we'd have walked the league. There's no two ways about it.
Thank you, Warren. And I love you because no one agrees with me.
I think a lot of people agree that we were, if we had gone and spent last summer.
Do you know what though? I think what he's underestimated is the Flamini factor last season. I know a lot of people like him because he runs a lot and he's done that, but I'm not being funny. That position is such a vital position on the pitch. Right there, the heart of your team, the spine of your team, sat in front of your back four. That player has to be the nuts. And luckily,
I can't believe people have been saying that we didn't need Xhaka. That's something that
Granit Xhaka for me. I know Amanda wanted a centre forward, and I did as well. And especially someone more to take the pressure off of Giroud, to not ask the geezer to play 50 games because he's 6'4". He's not going to be running the channels for 50 games. Like, just get someone in there who you can give him a rest, who you can change it up, who you can give different ideas. And Perez is that man. But with back to sort of talking about the title, it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be fun. And I think the worst thing is last season, I desperately wanted Wenger gone. I couldn't see any way back. I do think it's the end. And even now, I still a lot of questions I'm asking. I still don't trust him to utilise this squad. I'm still not sure if he is the right man. And I am worried. But I am glad with what he's done. And I just hope that, well, when I say I'm glad with what he's done, I'm glad with certain things he's done. Not everything, but I'm glad with most things. And I just hope that he can utilise it. And looking at City, I think if Aguero's out, it's a struggle because they're relying on Iniacho. Who else? I mean, they're going to start struggling. I think with Man United, I think Mourinho, he's gone out and spunked a load of money like he normally does, and he's got the mentality, and he will have them up there. They will be up there. There's no two ways about it, unfortunately. And I hate them as well, but you know that Jose is going to motivate that team. He's going to be a horrible, dirty little man like he always is, but he will be up there. And Chelsea, Conte will go quietly about his business. The champions, no one even talks about them, and they've lost players, but they have kept players, and it'd be interesting to see how Leicester go. I think Spurs have added, I'd say intelligently to the squad, but they haven't massively improved it. They've brought backup players, and I think people like Wanyama and that, they're decent squad players, but they're not going to set the world alight. Whereas
I think we'll see with Spurs kind of similar with what happened to Liverpool after they came really close to the title.
Exactly.
And then they had that massive, after the next season, they just fell off.
Dropped off, mate, and it will be interesting.
Spurs will be difficult because, the way once they drew with Chelsea last season, I mean, the fact we finished above them was criminal. The fact they blew it from that position. I mean, everyone says, well, it's Spurs, but I was genuinely shocked that they were that bad. And I think that says a lot about their mentality, the fact that they completely fell away.
See, the thing is, Callum, they're not used to it, are they? And when they went to Chelsea and lost their heads, that's where they lost the league. They lost everything that night. I think it's something,
if we're honest, that we can, as Arsenal fans, the last 10 years, there's been a few occasions where we've come close and then mentally we've struggled. And I think actually this is the year that, I mean, people said this before, but all three of the main signings we made this summer were captains at their club we signed them from. We got Petr Cech last summer, great professional, knows what it is to win. Alexis, Özil, these are guys that have won at an international level. They've won everything to win, really. So I do think there's been like a conscious effort from the manager to bring in players that are more mentally strong, because Spurs did it in spectacular fashion last season, but we'd be lying if we said that we haven't done that in recent years. Everyone remembers it was in 2011 when we lost the League Cup final and then got knocked out of the Champions League and we're out of the title race. Then like a 2-week period, we all just kind of fell apart. So
I did. I'm sorry to butt in. I'm not used to not butting in.
It's your first warning.
I'm on a yellow card. I disagree with you both. I think Tottenham will be up there again. I think we will be challenging with Tottenham. I think there will be 2 little leagues this year within the top 6. Liverpool, they're just such an anomaly, and I can't even say the word anomaly. I love Klopp, and I just think that he could turn that around. As Warren said, and I have to agree with him on most of the things today, that it's going to be exciting. It's definitely going to be better than last season. Last season, all we were doing was stressing about ending up above them. The fact that we could have won the league, and I did say that at the beginning we'd walk it, and everyone had to go at me, But it was there. This year, all the big boys are back, and unfortunately, we don't know how Mustafi and Perez are going to fit in. We don't know if Walcott's going to come good. We don't know if what pairing he's going to do in midfield. We don't know if Sanchez is going to pick up top form and go. We just don't know. But if all of it comes together, then we could challenge. If we do keep fit. I'd like to talk about Jack Wilshere for a second, if you don't mind.
Well, I was gonna bring it on to you, Amanda. Now, this is something that if anyone's listening now that's been listening to recent weeks, the last podcast was you and Clive and Mark and Giles all spoke extensively about this. So I won't ask Woz what he thinks because I think we know by now that you're not in favour of this move.
Yeah, we've had a ding-dong about that, haven't we, already? So I was listening to listen to you too.
Okay, this is my opinion on the whole thing, right? I think it's excellent for Jack and not excellent for Arsenal. Now, for Jack, he needs games. He needs time. He needs to get through this fucking injuries year after year after. Am I allowed to swear, by the way? Sorry.
Well, you've done it now, so.
I know, I do apologise.
It's fine.
I just get, when I swear, it's because I'm frustrated. I can understand why he's gone there. I feel that if it had gone abroad, it wouldn't have been good for Arsenal at all. When I say sorry, let me rephrase that. It's good for Jack, good for Arsenal, but bad for Arsenal fans. That's how I see it. I feel that they can control the situation a lot more if it's Bournemouth and not Roma. I think we have a good communication with the club. I feel like it's a nice club, isn't it? It's not, there's nothing to us, and for Jack, he'll probably get to play most games. And then I have this little vision and this little dream that he'll come back at the end of the season and be a changed player with a changed attitude as well. For me, it's wonderful for Jack. It really is. And, some people have said, and I listened to you lot on your podcast and I've listened to other things and I've read blogs and tweets and Facebook and stuff. And I think most of you are missing the point. I don't mean to be condescending, but this is about, for me, this is how I see it, getting Jack through a whole season to come back to us ready. Cazorla may not be there next season. We just don't know anything anymore. Nothing surprises me. It was a bit of a shock, but straight away I thought it was a very good deal for all of us. So he gets the game time and we get a very fit and brilliant Jack back. But there is a big but here. If he gets injured or he does play remarkably well, player of the season for Bournemouth or whatever, and the big guns come in for him.
That's a point I don't get, because if we're in a position where the big guns come in for him, he's at a level where we want him at, and I think I don't believe that this is a move the club have decided. I don't think the club have said to Jack, go out on loan because we don't want to sell you yet, but we do want rid of you. I think this is something that Jack's asked for, and the club
don't think they want rid of him. Do you think they want rid of him?
I think no. But the point you're making is that if he has a great season, then immediately all the big clubs will be in for him. But
but it doesn't mean we'll sell him. It doesn't mean we'll sell him.
Exactly, which is why I don't worry for a second about the big clubs coming in from him. I mean, if anything, I want that to be the case because it means he's had a great season.
Yeah.
So we're still in a strong position.
And also remember that they've done Bournemouth for a reason. They're not in the Champions League. He's not, no disrespect to Bournemouth at all, but he's not going to want to stay there for the rest of his career, is he? He is. No. It's not that he's Arsenal born and bred. I know his family are West Ham and stuff, but for me, he is an Arsenal boy. He's come through the ranks and stuff or whatever, right? I think he's gone there for a season to play continuous football. He's not going to get that at our club at the moment. So is it not a win-win situation? Yeah. Is it because people are fearing that we'll get 5 injuries like normal?
I think that's part of it, but
we're going to need him back.
My opinion is kind of similar to yours, and I'll give you a chance to retort to this because obviously you made quite the opposite point last time around, but I think we're at the point now with Jack where we can't have any more what ifs. We've had he made his debut 7-8 years ago. He was incredible, and whilst I don't subscribe to this notion that he is not a better player than he was back then, I think he actually, the way he's been able to come back time after time and actually play pretty well. There's numerous occasions where he's done this, and I do think if he'd stayed, he would eventually start playing well again. But I don't believe that he's not, as if he's somehow done himself a disservice over the years. I think he's made the best out of the situation that's been handed to him. But I think we're at the point now where rather than every season being like, is this the year that Jack earns a place in the team, stays fit, gets through a season, we're at a point now where we have to know one way or the other. We have to either, give him the chance to prove himself that he can play a full season, and if he can't, we say, right, this isn't going to work, Jack. Sorry, mate, but you've got to go somewhere else. Which I think is at this point the club couldn't be blamed for that. But at the same time, if we'd sold him this summer, it would have felt premature. So, and the amount of injuries Jack has had, you can't underestimate the importance of playing week in, week out, in his preferred position. Like we came on in the first 3 games of the season, he came off the bench and he did okay, I think, both times. But you're never, after so many years of kind of stop-start football, he's never going to get back to the level we want him to be at. Playing off the bench, every other game, or starting every once a month or whatever, or playing out of position. We're just never going to get a real idea of how good he can be or whether he's worth keeping, because that's not a true reflection of his talent and his ability to stay fit, which is a big unknown at the moment. So for me, I feel this is a move that was kind of necessary. I mean, when I heard about it, I was surprised, but the more I thought about it, the more I thought this kind of makes sense, because, the squad we have now means that we need Jack. I think, we've never needed him less, as harsh as that is to say. Like, Özil was the man playing in the position he'd like to play in. And then, of course, the additions of Xhaka and El Neni the last 6 months means we have numbers in the middle, and then you've got Cazorla, Ramsey, 2 great players. So, it is a risk because he could go and get injured. We could get lots of injuries, but at this point, I feel like we couldn't have another season of will he, won't he? It was kind of time to, we'll find out for sure this season. And if he does pick up, gets injured again and misses the season, then maybe we'll have to, call it a day and move him on. You've heard what we've had to say. I know you've gone over this before, but what do you think of what we've had to say? Do you agree with any of it, or are you still solid in your belief that this was a mistake to let him go?
I completely respect your opinions, and I understand exactly where you're coming from, and it probably is the best thing for Jack. But like I said before, I'm not in it for Jack. The way I'm thinking is I'm looking at what Jack Wilshere brings to the Arsenal team. I'm looking And like I touched on in the last one, Thomas Rosicky was that kind of player that would only come into the team and make an impact for a few games a season. And it did at times change the season. And I look at Jack, and I mean, he's come on in 2 of the 3 games and made an impact. He weren't so great on the right wing, but El Nene started the first game. He's been dropped since. If Cazorla's injured, Ramsey's unreliable with regards to injuries. I just think it's a big risk, and hopefully it pays off. Hopefully Ramsey and Cazorla. And I mean, like I said, Cazorla, he's been out for 27 games since last November. He ain't going to play 50 games this year. So I think there would have been opportunity for Jack to play. I can understand why it would make sense for him to play regularly at Bournemouth, and if that happens, then happy days. But I just feel that he could have had a big impact at the Arsenal this season. That's my only gripe with it. And I think it's a very good deal for Jack. But me, on a personal level, looking at Arsenal Football Club, if I'm the manager, I want Jack there to be able to select. But that's just me being a bit selfish.
I would say,
Warren, do you not agree though that he would have been playing like he did last season, a bit part, not a bit part.
Yeah, sorry.
Don't you think this is good for us, Warren? Don't you think it is? Maybe not this season, but if you look in the long run.
I'm looking now at winning a title this season or challenging for the title this season, and I'm looking at Mohamed El Nene and I'm questioning whether he's going to have that. I like him, but I'm questioning whether he's that player to take us forward. I think he's very, very good backup. He's a very good squad player, but I think Jack's better. I look at Aaron Ramsey, and I love Ramsey, but people have a lot of questions about him in the 2. And I look at the way Jack come on against Leicester and the increase in tempo in the game immediately, and he links with players. He loves running off deep. He's just a different kind of player to something we've got, and it would be absolutely brilliant if we had no injuries. Jack went out there all season, played, signed a new deal in the summer, come back fit as a fiddle, and that's the fairy tale, isn't it? That's what we all want. But I'm just being selfish as an Arsenal fan here. I'm being selfish, thinking, do you know what? I'm looking at our squad and I'm thinking, what Jack can offer, I want that. But let's hope that it's what everyone, majority of the Arsenal fans are saying and agreeing with, and I don't disagree with it. I'm just looking at it at a very selfish way, if you know what I mean.
I think we all agree that now that it's happened, we think he stays fit, plays well, and we're all going to be watching Bournemouth games all season now, I'm sure, because he is a player that, of all the players we've had over the years, that might make it, might not. He's one that after years of problems, it'd be incredible for him. As you say, Amanda, a local lad to come through, have years of troubles, and then really eventually find his feet and overcome these injuries. And seems unlikely, but we'll see. So yeah, we'll keep tabs on that, and I'm sure we'll have plenty of discussions over the season about how he's getting on. Just in relation to that, one story that kind of came out of that with the Wilshere move was the influence of Eddie Howe. I think Bournemouth are known as a team that play pretty nice football, which of course is something that Arsenal is very important for all our players, especially our midfielders and attacking players. But there's also some people that think that this could be somehow related to the fact that Eddie Howe is seen by some apparently at the Arsenal board as the best successor to Wenger whenever he does go. Do you subscribe to that? Do you think that Eddie Howe as being a potential replacement for Wenger is that a thing to even consider, or is that just kind of a coincidence, do you think, in the fact that Wilshere's gone to Bournemouth?
I think the fact that he's English, the fact that he plays nice football, and I think looking at the coaches in England, I think he's sort of 6 or 7 years ahead of any of the others in the way he plays the game. And you look at people like Roy Hodgson and Sam Allardyce, and that Eddie Howe's sort of more like, I'd say the way he approaches in the game is more in a European style, if you know what I mean. And he's brought Bournemouth up, and he's played his game, and he's kept them up. And they're a lovely little club. Like Amanda said, they're a nice club. It's like a nice place to go. It's a nice like a nice little family stadium. And it's just, I like Eddie Howe, but I think it's a massive risk to consider him. But you never know. And I think football's evolved a bit since the days where we took a risk on Wenger from Japan and things like that. I don't think that them sort of fairy tales happen anymore and will happen, because there's too much money being thrown about, and the best managers are earning big money. But I do like Eddie Howe, and he's so young. He's about 38 or something. He's not.
I think he manages players that are a bit older than him or has done.
Exactly,
and he's been around for a while now.
It's incredible, and he's had a very short career, but he's achieved well in his career, and he's come up and he's stuck with his style. And not many teams have been able to come up and do that. I think Swansea come up and played a nice bit of football and retained their status, but not many teams have actually done it. And fair play to him. And do you know what? You never know, do you? You never know. You put Eddie Howe in a team with world class footballers, and I'm talking Mesut Ozils and people like that, and Alexis Sanchez. How does he react? How does he deal with these players? Until they're in that situation, you don't know. And I just think it's a huge risk. I mean, someone like Pep, like Amanda said, the Pep effect. He comes in and he makes average players brilliant, and everyone knows that he's a world class manager. And he started young, and he got thrown in at the deep end. But obviously he's.
But then we've seen plenty of managers who, maybe they're big name players get that. We've had them like
big
promotion.
Big Tony Adams.
Well, exactly.
Like one of the biggest leaders you'll ever see on a football pitch. He's a man mountain. Everyone looks up to him, and he struggled at management level. That's not to say he never will manage at a high level again, but it's a different ball game. And Eddie Howe, he seems to. I like his style, and like I said, he's not really an English type manager, which is good because all the English coaches are shy, to be honest. And I personally would like to hope that Arsenal will be looking at one of the big hitters when Wenger does leave, but you never know. United tried the longevity with Moyes, and it weren't the right move, and they've got back to square one, and they've spunked another 200 million and got one of the most hated men in football in. So to get success back, so you never know, mate. You never know. I wouldn't dismiss him.
I'd definitely like to see him take another job before he was considered for taking on the Arsenal job, because from Bournemouth to Arsenal was such a huge step. Whereas if he was gone to a club like Everton or Southampton, even that were challenging for like a European spot, kind of upper mid-table team, then you would probably get a better measure of the man, I think. Whereas now it's he might be an incredible manager at that level, but it's such a huge step up.
We've seen Roberto Martinez.
Can I ask something? Sorry, boys. This seems to be like the new thing that we're discussing, this Eddie Howe and stuff. It's not really relevant, is it? Because we don't actually know what's going on.
There was a story that came out a few weeks ago about, I forgot which journalist or newspaper it was, but there was someone who claimed to have inside links at the club and that the management and on the board were a big fan of Howe, and he was being kind of not lined up as such, but was considered very high up the list of, and put to be honest, like I know a lot of fans want to see us go in for someone like Simeone if he happens to be available, but I just can't see this board going for a manager of that level, Callum, that wouldn't be complicit, whereas Eddie Howe is someone who would be, getting a huge opportunity. He would be much more likely to fall in line, which unfortunately is going to be a quality of the next manager we have, that I fear.
It's exactly what everyone said to me who's not an Arsenal fan. Go for Simeone. And I went, he's so not Arsenal that the board wouldn't consider it. We'd love him. I'd love him. But he's so not, exactly what I couldn't have put it any better. But what my point is this, it's like, I know it sounds funny, and you know what I'm like. I just think it's a waste of a topic, because he's Bournemouth manager. Let's deal with our season. And then when the season's over, hopefully, praying Wenger resigns. That's, goes. No more contract, nothing. But that's how I feel about it. But I just feel that I think it's linked because of Jack, to be honest. Who knows? You know what? Half my timeline think they've got links to Arsenal. So I don't partake in conversations like that. I know.
All right, well, we'll know for next time. But on slightly lighter note, there was something that I didn't actually have on the agenda, but I've just been reminded of it, and I have to mention it. We've got Nottingham Forest in the Cup. Nottingham Forest have just signed the one, the only Nicholas Bentner on a 2-year deal.
Big goal, Bentner.
He's just going to score against us, isn't he? There's no way around this.
Do you know what?
Oh.
Do you know this geezer? Do you know what? I actually like him, and he's an absolute wally, like as a person.
Can't take him seriously, Ken.
I can't take him serious.
I think the word you're looking for, Warren, is an absolute tool.
Yeah, he is a tool, but also on the pitch, he could be quite a useful tool sometimes. And he did score some big goals for us, and because of that, I can't hate him. I mean, anyone who comes on against Spurs and runs off of the bench, runs into the box and keeps running and heads it in the net with his first touch, And he scored. I remember, funnily enough, we got Hull in a couple of weeks. I remember at Hull away when we was right in the title race in March, and I remember it come out the Nielsen, smashed a shot from about 35 yards out, like 93rd minute, 1-0, and it come out to Benter and he scuffed it in, and we just went absolutely ballistic. And I've got some fond memories of him, probably because of them goals. Like I remember him scoring late against Wolves, like a header in the 94th minute at home or something, just silly things like that. That's why I used to nickname him Big Gold Benter, but he is an absolute tool, like you said.
Yeah, but he is. Warren, he was going to be superb in my eyes. If his ego didn't take him over, I think we would have had a world-class striker. I know people are going to laugh at me, but I just feel that the ego got ahead of him. The hangers-on got ahead of him. He's got the ego the size of a small country anyway, and it ruined him personally. But I just Bentner, if it had stuck his bloody foot out in the new camp, we would have gone through. So I can't remember anything else he's done except that he hasn't done. So, good luck to him. Listen, he to me he's fucked up his career because of how he was and everything, and it's a shame really because I do think he would have made it. I do think it would have been brilliant. He had it there, as but anyway.
But it feels inevitable that he's kind of scored, doesn't it? Especially as we often make fools of ourselves in the League Cup, especially early on.
We better not this year, mate.
Well, it gives a bit of spice to the game, doesn't it? Other news, right? This is just the man you were speaking about a minute ago, is that apparently Mr. Flamini is heading to Crystal Palace.
Oh, bless him. So, do you know what, Warren, I was going to pick you up on what you said before. I was at Tottenham last season in the Cup when Flamini scored two fantastic goals. I was actually in row one. I've never been in row one. I never want to be in row one again. But he came over to us. Now, look, everything he does, he points everywhere, he runs, wherever it is. I wish his passion could be in every player, right? He isn't good enough for Arsenal. We all knew that. But what he gave on the pitch sort of outweighed that. And look, I'm a romantic, aren't I? I love the passion side of it. I know you're looking at the footballing side of it.
Just shouting around and pointing isn't necessarily passion. Like, I don't doubt.
No, but he is so passionate for our club. I'm sorry. If you would have been there at Tottenham that night, when he ran to oh my God, it was brilliant. He's not good enough.
No, I'm not saying he is. But anyway, look, all I would say is that him remaining in London, so Mesut can still hang out with him, can only be a good thing. When it comes to contract renewal, we say, look, your boys is down the road. Don't head off to Paris or wherever. Stay here in London, and you can still keep Flamini around. So I guess that's one good thing to come out of it.
Cal, I saw a little photo of Mesut and Mustafi earlier, and he doesn't look like he's missing Flamini, and I think he's going to be a bit upset. But that's why he's trying to get back to Palace, so he can try and get back in Mesut's good books.
That could be it. He might have been on a plane to another country, then he heard that Mustafi's around, and he's like, right, I need to stay put. Or this is
It's funny. I was having a little chat with a Palace fan earlier, and he was quite excited about the Flamini signing, and I said, I don't want to disappoint you too much, but I said, you'll get a lot of pointing, a lot of shouting, a lot of running, and a lot of hard work, but if you're looking for quality, he's not the man. And he sort of said, really? I said, yeah. And he said, but he played for Arsenal, and I said, yeah. Like that is the situation we're in, bless him. Like, you can't. Obviously, I love him forever for the goals at the Lane, and I was there as well, Amanda. And I remember I always give him.
Wasn't he brilliant?
I was in the upper tier, and I always give him a hard time. And the night, funny, I posted a photo. My mate took a photo of me, and I'll tweet it to you. I'm in pure shock, like actual shock of what I've just seen. Because I remember the ball.
I just laughed out loud. I couldn't believe what I was watching. It was funny enough when he scored the first goal, but it was
the second one.
The second one, but the ball went so high, and I remember it was almost like time stopped still, and I had time to look down. I saw Flamini running, and I looked up, and I looked down again, and looked at him and thought, that ain't Flamini, is it? And then he come down, and he just volleyed it in from outside the box, and I'm just in shock. I'm still in shock now, but fair play to him, and good luck to him. And he's obviously got good business plans and good future, but he still loves his football and he still loves the game, and hopefully he can continue playing, and he does see a bit of Mesut.
Yeah, well, anyway, so we'll be facing him at some point as well, which will be again another bit of spice added to our fixtures with Palace coming up. Right, we're going to look ahead to the Southampton game to finish the show. But first of all, Amanda, you wanted to speak about the Manchester derby, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Just this weekend.
See, I have a lot of different followers and people I chat to on Twitter. Leicester, Man United, City, whoever. I talk to many different fans, but I got a really good guy from Hull. I was on a radio program with him, and I'm really interested in how they perceive their own clubs and stuff. Now, this isn't actually through Twitter. This is through my Facebook. A very, very close friend of mine gave me a ticket for the Man City game the year before last when we beat them. I've never been up north, touch wood, and seen us lose. First time we ever won a City and I was there. And I've sort of got involved with his friends, City and United. Now, it's so interesting to see the absolute hate between these two. It's exactly the same as Arsenal-Tottenham. So as an outsider, I was put in like a Facebook status of 25 of them. It went on for days and days. There must be 200 or 300, replies. And I was sort of put in a couple of bits, now and again, like I need to get my popcorn, I need to get my Kit Kats and sit and watch all this because it's fascinating, right? And what I've concluded from all of this is what I've thought all along. Mm-hmm. Man United fans are the cockiest on the planet. And I was trying to be my normal sarcastic self, and they don't know me. There's only a couple on this lot that know me. The rest don't. And they're like, who's this? What does she know? And whatever. But they come at me with the 8-2, the 6. There's so many times they've beaten us over the years. The treble, breaking the Invincibles with Wayne Rooney. And I can hold my own. I'm the only Arsenal one on there. I've got no issue with it because they are just a law amongst themselves. Then you have the City fans that are not as cocky. They're just not. They're a different breed. Actually.
Well, they've known struggle.
Absolutely.
And it's been the last 3 years seeing United fans who have known nothing but success.
Absolutely.
Seeing them it's just the way they've not been able to deal with it, and it's just like it was
Ferguson calling them the noisy neighbours, and so I was watching all the stats they come out with when City beat them 6-1, and United absolutely can't stand them. It's different for us because Tottenham were never that bad, were they, over the last 10 years, say. So we've not won trebles, we've not won the league in the last 10 years. So it's a little bit even for us. United were up there, weren't they? God, if it wasn't for Dennis Bergkamp missing that penalty, who knows, and Ryan Giggs. But, and we discuss all that. And I try and be pretty sensible, I don't rave about Arsenal. I talk about Wenger in a very derogatory way because that's how I feel. I talk about our club in that way. They do not. Everything's perfect. It's like unbelievable. And I said about Mourinho, I cannot stand him. And you know what's, wherever you go around the countries, any derby, it's exactly the same. I just find it fascinating that the United fans are so goddamn cocky, where the City fans are not, and they are very, very concerned that Aguero isn't playing, obviously, star player and everything.
But he's an idiot for elbowing bloody, he's got a nasty streak, yeah.
A mate of mine was at the match, and I said to him, he's going to be retrospectively done for this. And he said to me, oh, no, it was nothing. I went, you watch it. It isn't nothing. Anyway, so regardless of that, but I've always watched the Man United derbies anyway, like the Liverpool-Evertons are. I love all that. I think it's brilliant. I can enjoy it. Obviously, they're all cacking themselves, but it's like when Arsenal play Spurs, I can't stand it. I actually can't stand it. I feel sick days before, and this is what they're like now. But it's so interesting for me to be involved in watching it, because I piped up now and again, with my little, they talk about having legends, and I said, well, we got Henry and Bergkamp, and the way they dismiss it. And they talk about Van Persie, obviously, and I said to him, look, Mourinho and your club are a perfect match. You're both a bunch of pricks. Sorry.
Well, the thing is, Mourinho, he embraces the fact that he's a piece of shit. To be fair to him, like he never tries to be anything other. Whereas United like to paint them. I mean, when they appointed Moyes, there was this kind of, oh, we wouldn't hire someone like Mourinho. You know, he's not befitting of the club. His attitude and the way he carries himself isn't, you know, befitting of the Manchester United name. Give them 3 years of struggling, and they'll take him. So I do find that. I mean, again, and also like Chelsea, I feel like Chelsea and Mourinho were the perfect fit, because Chelsea, again, and I suppose to their credit, have always embraced the fact that they're a bunch of shithouses, and you know, they kind of the fact that people hate them, they kind of like it. Whereas United like to carry themselves and present themselves as this club that's better than everyone, and it has this kind of moral structure. And I did find it funny that they kind of were so against, you know, people like Bobby Charlton and stuff speaking out against Mourinho a few years ago when Ferguson left, and now he's been drafted in. But what do you reckon's going to happen in that game? Do you think it'll be a 0-0 or a 4-4, or in between?
There's 28 red cards, 48 injuries, all the fans hurt each other, and then they can't play again for the rest of the season. That would be nice.
If you're taking off your Arsenal hat.
All jokes aside, I think City are going to struggle without Sergio Aguero, and I think Man United are on good form. And Jose knows how to win these games, but Pep's a very, very good manager, and it'll be interesting to see throughout the season how they both deal with the big games. It's going to be a hell of a lot of them this year, and again, it's just one of them exciting games that we live for in football, where it's a derby. Like Amanda says, the passion is unrivaled, and you live for them days as a fan, and they'll be up there. And I know a fair few City fans as well, and they're good as gold. But at the end of the day, that is, as a fan, and me looking as a fan, that's what I live for. I love them games. I love the hatred. I love the feeling of going to Spurs being behind enemy lines, and I'm sure they love it there. And it's just all part of it. It's just, you grow up with it since the day you're born. You know you don't like this team, and that is basically the beauty of the sport. And even though it's all friendly and good banter sometimes, it's nice to have a bit of, do you know what, I really don't like you, and it's just
a bit of hate in your heart.
Yeah, and like,
it is, darling, but all my friends are Tottenham. So.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, same as me. And don't get me wrong, on a match day, I can't stand them, and I banter with them all the time and that. But nothing ever gets nasty between your friends or anything like that.
No,
but
of course.
On a match day, you are not interested. I'll tell you something now. I'm not interested in talking to them. I don't want to talk to them. If we win, I'll talk to them. I'll have a little message, 1 or 2 messages, and have a bit of banter with them, and they'll hear from me. But if we lose, which we have done a few times recently, I'll disappear. To be honest with you, I don't like. It's just all part of the fun, isn't it? So hopefully that
fun.
Well, yeah.
If we lose to Spurs, it's not fun.
It's not fun at all, and it evokes a lot of other feelings like anger, frustration. And
anyway, moving on from that, things we don't have that game this weekend for us. We've got on paper, it looks like an easier game against Southampton. Callum, what?
God, easy.
What? Easy. I said on paper, easier. They've not started well. They've got a manager who no one knows what his name is. Yeah, and I'm not saying it's easy. We're Arsenal. We make everything difficult, but you know, Amanda, what are you looking for? I mean, as far as the team goes, I mean, we can probably pick out 9 or 10 of the guys that are going to be starting. But you know, which players that perhaps might not be guaranteed a spot would you like to see come in? I mean, would you throw Perez in from the start, Mustafi?
He won't. He will have Perez. See, it's horrible, isn't it? I've got to call him Perez. But there's only one Perez in my life. And I don't know what to call him now. Maybe I'll call him Lucas.
Just call him Lucas. I think he has the back of his shirt. So.
We haven't got a Lucas, have we? We've never had a Lucas before.
Well, Podolski.
Oh, yeah, but it's not spelled like that. Don't say that. Get rid of that. We've never had Lucas.
I'll let you off of that.
I never called him Lucas. That's why I always called him.
No, I never did that. Polled him.
Hold up. I think he'll have him on the bench. I think it'll be the normal 69-minute sub. Mustafi might play. Do you know what? I can't call it. I can't call who's going to be playing. Do you think you can call the 10 players that are going to be playing then?
I think I probably could. I think it would be pretty similar to what we saw against Watford. But I think we'll have Giroud in from the start with Oxlade-Chamberlain coming out. And Alexis starting. But then, of course, we'll have Mustafi coming in for holding, I think. So yeah, to run
they've
through
only
it.
trained. Sorry to cut up.
I know, but Mustafi's had a pre-season with Valencia. I mean, why wait? I don't think he will. And he's been training this week. He's been at the club for a few days. I don't think he'll wait.
Yeah,
I mean, and it's also the alternative is Holding, who's been here he's played 3 games rather than none, and he's nowhere near as experienced as Mustafi. So I would be surprised if Holding.
But Lucas would be on the bench. That's what I think.
We also have, of course, PSG in the week. So I can't see Wenger wanting to throw Mustafi in as that his first, that being his first game. So I think we'll probably see him this weekend with Perez on the bench and Giroud up front. What do you think? Do you think that'll be the team, or do you think we'll be a bit different from that?
Yeah, options. It's nice to have options, isn't it? At the end of the day, this is what Arsene Wenger gets paid for, and I think one of my main criticisms with Arsene Wenger is when he has got options, that's when he struggles. When his back's against the wall and he can only pick certain players, he seems to get the results. And now we're asking him to. I don't want to see us go throughout the season chopping and changing every week. And I think you look at all our title-winning sides and that, we had pretty much a nucleus for the entire season. They all played 30-plus games and we kept the squad the same. And it's nice to have the options and we have got to rotate. But I think with regards to Lucas, I think we'll see him start at Forest. And I think Giroud will probably come back in. He's had a bit more minutes now, and I think he's ready. And like you said, push Alexis back out to the left. I'd like to think he would. I think Theo's performed well enough to retain his position at the moment. I think in the middle of midfield, I don't think Ramsey's back fit, and I don't want to see us. What I don't want to do is see us start Coquelin or El Nene at home. I don't see the point. I really don't see the point.
Well, I think if he starts Cazorla and Xhaka away from home, and they've both played pretty well against Watford, I'd be very surprised to see him revert to type. What I would be expecting is for Coquelin to come in for the PSG game, and I would agree with that decision. I think Xhaka and Coquelin is the way to go for that, because it's the hardest game in the group we're going to face, and we've got defensive midfielders in the squad, and that's when we should use them. But I agree with you about playing at home against supposedly inferior opposition. We should definitely be bold and go for an attacking lineup. And I think we all want to see a really good. And you mentioned earlier about having a good home form this season, which is something we lacked a lot last year. We struggled in front of goal. A lot of laboured performances where we either nicked a late goal or dropped points because we just couldn't hit the back of the net. I think we had 3 or 4 games where we didn't score at the Emirates. So, great to get off the mark. We did score 3 against Liverpool, of course, but the issue was we conceded 4. But after the Watford game, I think this is a team that will be confident, and Alexis played really well against Watford. Theo's found his feet a little bit, which I know you'll be happy about, but so I guess we're going into it looking pretty strong. I mean, we'll talk about being excited, but I guess a defeat or a draw would probably put paid to that. But, if, United and City, if they were to draw earlier on in the day and we win, suddenly the gap, we're 3 points behind them, which suddenly doesn't feel too bad after 4 games. So, I guess this is where the season starts for us. As annoying as it is that we're 5 points behind, this is it feels like a good starting off point, and I think everyone's kind of excited to see how Mustafi does, how Perez what influence he can have, and just seeing Giroud come back into the team, Özil and Alexis hopefully keep their form going. Xhaka, how good's he going to be? So,
Cal, sorry mate, just quickly on their manager Claude Puel. I don't know if you know, but he was mentored by Arsene Wenger when he was at Monaco.
Oh really? I didn't know that.
And he also played for Arsene Wenger whilst he was a manager.
You hope Southampton fans will hope he's a bit better than Gilles Grimandi.
Exactly, and it's an interesting. It would be interesting because Wenger obviously knows him very well, and he knows what he's like. And Claude Puel, being mentored by him, will obviously know Wenger. Well, he's probably changed a hell of a lot since then, obviously. But I just think Southampton, like you said, they've had a shaky start, and they drew at home with Watford and Sunderland, and they lost to United. They're if you get an early goal, you could put them to the sword, mate. And Arsenal of old, we used to score and we'd think, well, do you know what, this game's done. They ain't scoring. We used to win games in the first 20 minutes and it'd be gone.
We used to beat Southampton by cricket. Perez got a hat-trick against them, did he not?
Yeah, we've had some great results against them, but I just want to see that. I mean, how many times last season you sat in that stadium, we go 1-0 up and you think, shit, we need another. And then you score 2-0 up and you think, bloody hell, we need another. If they get one back here, we're in trouble. And then against Villa on the last day, we were struggling at 1-0 for about 70 minutes. It wasn't like we blew them away. We kind of hit some late goals. Yeah.
But yeah, so it so I think what we all want to see is for us to just be confident, blow them away, and get a good result. It would be nice to kick off, wouldn't it, the month with a good result. It looks like Amanda's just dropped from the call, so we're going to have to end now anyway, with just me and you, Watts. So predictions for the weekend. What would you think the score's going to be?
I think we will turn it on. I think Wenger will get it right. I'd like to think we'd be 2 or 3-0 up by the 70th minute, and Perez will come on for his debut and score. And I'll be off to France, very happy man. I'm going to Paris. I'm going to Paris on the Tuesday. I'm going to Hull on the Saturday, and then I'm going to Nottingham the following Tuesday. So
so you're seeing some of Europe's brightest and best cities.
I'm doing the 3 best places I could possibly go in Europe.
Hull was Europe, was it not the city of culture a couple of years ago for Britain? So there might be Hull. Have you been before to Hull?
I've been to Hull before with a big gold Bentner goal. I've been there a couple of times. I quite like it actually, mate. There's a nice little working man's club. We go in there and it's cheap beer and it's a good laugh. So.
But safe to say you're maybe slightly more excited for the Paris trip, though, right?
I'd say so.
Just about edges it. So, So, what do you reckon the score will be this weekend?
Yeah, I'm saying I'm going to go very positive. I'm going to say 4-0. I think Mustafi clean sheet. I think Giroud will get a goal first of the season. I think Theo might get one, and I hope Perez comes on and notches as well. But that's just very confident.
Wouldn't that be lovely?
If we get an early goal, mate, I think that could be the case. I just don't see us staying as stale as we did last season. We struggled a lot to break teams down, but I think we've got options, and hopefully Arsene gets it right and we really do come out the blocks firing and we get the ball rolling and almost start the season, as we were saying.
Well, I remember last year we had because the other team I support is Celtic, and of course Southampton have bought a few ex-Celtic players, and the players that played brilliantly in the home game last year were Fraser Forster in goal, Virgil van Dijk in defence, and Wanyama in the midfield were all absolutely fantastic. So I remember being quite annoyed that seeing these guys that used to play for a team I followed were now playing against my other team I followed, and they were doing an absolutely incredible job. And Wanyama is of course now at Spurs, but Van Dijk, if he has another similar game up against Giroud, you'd hope Giroud could get the better of him, but he's a tough defender, Van Dijk. And I'm kind of agree with you though. I think we are going to start playing a bit better this season at home. I think the Watford game will give us a lot of confidence, and Özil looks great, and Alexis is picking up form. Theo is recaptured some sort of his ability that he looked to have lost last season. So I know Woz, you've always been someone who talked about having Theo on the right. I mean, he's been doing better there. So credit to you for that. And so I wouldn't go for quite as perfect a game as you think, but a solid 2-0 goal in each half. A Giroud goal, and I'll go with Perez off the bench as well, because wouldn't that be lovely? So I'd ask Amanda for a prediction, but she just told me her power's gone out, so she can just say after the game that's whatever the score is, that's what she would have predicted anyway. But thanks to Amanda. No, she's not here to talk to you, but she's come on and to you as well, was for stepping in and from both of the princesses. I might as well say it for the other princess. Thank you very much for having us. Getting the bases covered, so that was good stuff. So guys, that's the pre-Saints pod. We will have we aim to have another podcast up before the Paris game next week, which I think is on Tuesday, isn't it? Was the game's on a Tuesday morning, mate. Oh, not the morning, Tuesday. Bloody hell! I'm going out there in the morning. Hopefully it ain't in the morning. Yeah, Tuesday. So we'll have a podcast out next week talking about the Southampton game, and of course looking forward to the PSG trip as well. So thanks for listening, and we'll speak again soon. Bye.